Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Before we get started, please take a minute to click subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my latest investing and personal finance content. And please visit the link you see on your screen for a message from our sponsor, The Motley Fool, where you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now. All right, so I'm here with my good friend Tyler Crow, and we're going to talk about some stocks today. Surprise, surprise. We are going to talk about three stocks in particular, and this is something you haven't heard lately, that are near their all-time highs. So it's not every stock that's gotten crushed in the downturn of 2022. Tyler, what are the three that you had in mind that are really close to their all-time highs?
Sure. And I obviously went into this looking like, what has done well in REITs, because there's not a lot of them out there, or real estate companies in particular. And that's where I wanted to look and see like what's doing well. And there's actually three that came up on a screener of mine looking that were at or within 3% of their all-time high. And that was Getty Realty, Gaming and Leisure Properties, and National Retail Properties. So ticker symbols GTY, GLPI, and NNN. So both Getty and National Retail Properties are both what are known as net lease REITs. Kind of very similar if you've heard of Realty Income before. It's the same business model where you're renting out a single tenant lease property, typically something like a fast food chain restaurant or a gas station or something like that. And both of these companies are, kind of follow in that vein of what we see at Realty Income. Same idea. Getty is a little unique in the sense that a vast majority of what they do is gas stations and convenience stores. It's like 78% of their entire portfolio is gas and convenience stores. National Retail Properties, a little bit more diverse, Wendy's is a big tenant, things like that. And of course, Gaming and Leisure Properties is a REIT that owns the casinos operated mostly by a company called Penn National. These aren't like the big fancy Vegas casinos that we typically think of. These are kind of the regional casinos that are popular in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, across a lot of the mid-Atlantic as of late. With the expansion and legalization of gambling, becoming a much bigger thing. So all three of these companies, really interesting to see why they are at their all-time highs.
Yeah, I like all three of them. National Retail in particular is one I followed for a long time. I'm often asked why I don't own it, and the answer is just because I own Realty Income, and it would be like buying Visa and MasterCard. Why would you need both? They're very, very similar business models. And between them and Getty, it seems like the market's really rewarding businesses that have pricing power. And pretty much all of their businesses, they're not only recession resistant, they have pricing power. I mean, you just mentioned that Getty is, 75% or so gas stations and convenience stores. They sell things that people need. It's things that people will pay whatever, within reason, whatever the price tag says on it. If, a case of spring water goes up for 10% by 10% at a convenience store, people are still going to buy it. So it's businesses that have pricing power, and the market's really rewarding pricing power in this environment. As far as the casino REIT, I'm a big fan of the gaming space right now, just in general. And I love the real estate end. It's very predictable cash flow. And it's predictable cash flow with growth potential, which we've mentioned a lot of REITs lately that kind of trade like bonds because they have very predictable cash flow. We know what they're going to make next quarter, the quarter after that, things like that. Because they generally have limited growth potential in a certain amount of time. The gaming business, as you mentioned, is growing really, really fast. I know there's a bunch of states that have legalized gaming but haven't really implemented it yet because they still have to work out a few things. Sports betting is one big thing that is a big trend in the United States. Sports betting used to be, restricted to Las Vegas exclusively, and that was not that long ago. And now it's in most states that have legalized gaming. So it's a big growth market. It still has a long way to go, in my opinion. A lot of the states that are not on board are going to see what the kind of, tax revenue that the states that are on board are making, and it's still the trend's going to continue. Out of the three, Tyler, which one do you think is the one that you would be most inclined to buy? And you could say all three if you want.
Sure. It was funny because you had said you weren't interested in national retail properties because you owned Realty Income. And I think that both Getty and National Retail Properties are actually at their all-time highs for a similar reason because we just saw Store Capital go private. I think there might have been a little bit of, hey, I need a little bit more coverage in my net lease properties. So I think that might be why we're seeing a little bit of a particular bump in these ones versus like a Realty Income or something like that. But I think of these three, I'm going to actually go with National Retail Properties for that same, for what you said. It's a net lease. Being that net lease, it has that predictable cash flows. It's not. They even admit in their investor presentations, like we're not going to grow very fast. We're going to, probably trend at like 5%, and grow at a reasonable rate. We have a 4.6% yield, which is okay, not great right now. It's not the best valuation in the world, but over the very, very long term, National Retail has proven to be a market-beating investment. The last 10 years haven't been great, but with companies like this that are slow growers, sometimes you will see decades of a decade of underperformance, but over the even longer term, they can do quite well.
Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.